My dudes, my buddies, my G's, Ian Taylor here, and we are back with another blind reaction / full analysis video. Yes, and I couldn't be more thrilled today, ladies and gentlemen, because we are in for a treat. And do you know why? Well, the one, the only, the man, the myth, the legend, Ren dropped a song yesterday, and this one is gonna go deep. Yes, it is. I know that, a lot of my viewers might struggle with certain aspects of life, including thoughts of self-harm or suicide. So I do want to preempt this video with a little bit of a trigger warning. I have not viewed this track, but I can only assume how powerful this song is going to be. So just make sure, you're in a good state of mind. We're here to sit back and analyze a really, really awesome piece of music, and I'm really, really excited about it, man. So this is a blind reaction. Haven't seen this yet. I didn't do a video on this yesterday because unfortunately I did have to go to work at 3 o'clock, which is what time it dropped in my time. So I was unable to do it, but I'm going to check it out today, and I'm so thrilled to get into it, guys. So this was not recommended to me in the comments of my previous videos, but leave some recommendations in the comments because they do help me decide what I'm going to do next on the channel. Without further ado, guys, we're going to jump into Ren Suicide. Yes. Now, I do know, again, this one might be a little bit hard. It might be a little bit deep. I'm not exactly sure what to expect here. Watch, it's just some super funny song or something. That'd be crazy, but it's not going to be. I don't think so. I have a feeling that it's going to delve into kind of Ren's thoughts surrounding the whole act of suicide, maybe delve into his friend who unfortunately did that to himself. And yeah, we're going to kind of just play it by ear and see what happens, man. All right, let me just get set up here. Boom. All right, let's go ahead and let's get into it. And I do know that the video that we're reacting to might be a little bit choppy. I do apologize about that. Currently saving up for a computer, so, a new computer that can actually handle all the stuff that we do when we do these videos. But without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, this is Ren, Suicide. That intro vocal was insane. That's just a sample right there, right? So it's kind of like this super grainy. It sounds like he ran his voice through a bunch of different filters and maybe synthesizers and stuff to get that vocal, but I already really, really love it. I love that sound. There's like this crackle underneath. There's a lot of layering going on in this intro already that I really, really enjoy. It's very pleasing to the ear. And this visual is not what I expected at all. This visual is wild, man. It's super, super cool. It's like, I think this might be the London skyline. I'm assuming, and it's like this cool, weird graphic effect on it, and it's all animated and stuff, which is really, really cool. I don't know if they captured footage and then, AI'd it out or something like that, but I don't know what it is. It looks awesome. And by the way, guys, there are going to be a lot of pauses in this video. If you're looking for just a blind reaction where somebody's nodding their head and being like, oh, this is good, this isn't the video for you. I do analyze everything I can in one go. So let's go ahead and keep going.
Through the cracks of the night sky, a light goes out on the other side. Suicide. Treading on the tracks in the night time. It never really felt like the right time. Suicide.
Wow. Okay, so I already am in love with this, with the lyricism here. He says, oh, I've fallen through the cracks of the night sky. That's so ironic because obviously you don't think about falling through the sky. You think about, falling down. But instead, this time you're falling through the cracks of the night sky. It's like you're already up there. Maybe what he's saying there is like humans are already good enough, and for some reason I don't feel that way, and so I'm falling through those cracks. I'm falling through the cracks and slipping down and down and down into this mental state. It's very, very powerful. I love the way that he starts that. And then he says a light goes out on the other side. Suicide. That's obviously a reference to, when a light is snuffed out. A lot of times that's a metaphor for a life being snuffed out as well, and if he's falling through the cracks of the night sky, I mean, you could almost imagine he's falling through the stars. I mean, in ancient ancient times, they used to think that the stars in the sky were, you know, little pinpricks into the floor of heaven, so to speak. So it could be playing off of that metaphor there. And then he says, treading on the tracks in the nighttime, you know, I never really felt like the right time. I don't know if the bridge that Ren's friend jumped off of was like a railroad bridge or what it was, but treading on the tracks in the nighttime, why else would you be walking on the tracks other than you're super deep in thought, you're you know, going through some shit that you're trying to sort out in your head, and you're maybe are contemplating this darker side of things, you know, and you're treading on the tracks. What are you doing when you're treading, right? You're not walking, you're not, it's not the word that he used. He didn't use walking. He said treading, like when you're treading water almost, you know, and when you're treading water, you get tired pretty fucking quick. Swimming is not the easiest thing on the planet for a lot of people. And so if you're treading on those tracks in the nighttime, it's kind of like you're staying on those tracks. Maybe you're considering not getting off the tracks, you know, maybe that's where it's going with it. That's very interesting. I really, really enjoy this hook. And he says, it's never really felt like the right time. That's something that is so relatable to, I think, a lot of people who have dealt with these kinds of thoughts is, you know, that because I've personally dealt with suicidal thoughts and stuff like that, you know, and what kind of during that period of my life, what would go through my head is maybe tonight's the night, you know, and then I'd get to tonight or whatever night that is, and I'd quote unquote chicken out. It's not chickening out, actually. I think it's braver to stay. But it's, you know, it just didn't feel like the right time. I had unfinished business, so to speak. And so that line right there really, really spoke to me. Wow, we're only 21 seconds in, and I think I've been talking for like 4 minutes. This is incredible. I'm already in love with this.
Treading on the tracks in the nighttime, it never really felt like the right time. Suicide, suicide, suicide. I'm so fucking lonely beneath this. Narcissistic, can't keep a secret. Miscount sheep, I can't sleep, a misfit. Some say trouble, but some say sadistic. Bruises my brother, one time or the other. My skin felt counterfeit, silicone rubber. Bruises my sister, skin pop the blister. Dig deep, resist the feeling when it hits you.
Wow. So I really like that. I don't know if this is the end of the verse or not, but that first verse, at least what we've heard of that rap part, I love the transition between what he's doing in the hook with these high layers and a lot of layering. And then when he gets into the verse, it's kind of like very monotone and very, you know, kind of level and down to earth almost. You know, it's a lot lower in pitch, and the rhythm he's doing da 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 da. You know, that's a very creative way of keeping it's something you can nod along to. You know, it's really setting the tone for the tempo of this song, and it's really keeping in tune with that guitar that's in the background there. So I really like that. But he also says, I'm so fucking lonely beneath this, narcissistic, can't keep a secret. Like, he's talking about things, he's utilizing these thoughts that often pass through the mind of somebody who's contemplating suicide. And I'm sure that Ren has maybe thought about it at one time or another, but I can't tell. Maybe he's trying to put himself in the mindset of his friend who jumped. Or maybe he's just talking about his own experiences. Or maybe he's talking about it on a grander scale. But, I mean, I'm so fucking lonely beneath this, narcissistic, can't keep a secret, miscount sheep, I can't sleep, a misfit. It's like he can't sleep, he's staying up all night, he's calling himself a narcissist. Well, most people who are narcissists don't call themselves narcissists, fun fact, but people who struggle with depression and people who struggle with suicidal thoughts, they consider themselves narcissistic all the time, and they don't really talk about it, but in their head they're like, man, what's wrong with me? Why can't I think about other people? And the reason for that isn't because you're selfish, it's because you have so much going on here that you can't even get past that to get to the outside. You know what I mean? So he's calling himself narcissistic, can't keep a secret. You know, he's already got so much shit inside of him, he can't afford to keep more in. Otherwise, he might just explode, you know? And he miscounts sheep. I love that line because obviously counting sheep when you're trying to sleep is a way to get to sleep, but he's miscounting them. It's not saying that he can't count sheep. He's miscounting them. It seems to me like everything in his life so far is kind of askew, kind of off, kind of wrong almost, you know, and at least in his frame of mind. So I'm really enjoying that right now. He says, some say troubled, some say sadistic, you know, he's looking at the external world and comparing that to his internal self, which is something that that at least I struggled with when I was going through my period of the darker period of my life, so to speak. So I really relate to that line. Bruises my brother one time or the other. My skin felt counterfeit, silicone rubber. I love that. I don't remember if that sounds familiar to me. I feel like that might be a reference to one of his other songs or something, but I love the thought of my skin felt counterfeit, silicone rubber. Like, it doesn't even feel real, you know? And then he's kind of bringing it back to this family. Bruises my brother one time or the other. Bruises my sister, skin pop, the blister. Dig deep, resist the feeling when it hits you. So there's a lot of meanings with that, you know? Bruises my brother, bruises my sister. It's almost like he's saying he's hurting his family, or people who struggle with these thoughts are hurting their family because their family just wants to be there for them, right? But then there's also this other thought of these bruises are his family. You know, there's that side of it too. So, oh my God, man. Jesus. Cheese and rice, dude. Cheese and rice.
Falling through the cracks of the night sky. A light goes out on the other side. Suicide, suicide, suicide.
That visual was crazy there. The skulls turning into heads, which then turned into closed fists, man. There's a lot of symbolism going on in this video, and I'm here for it, man. I really, really love it.
Goes out on the other side. Suicide, suicide, suicide. Treading on the tracks in the night time. It never really felt like the right time. Suicide, suicide, suicide.
Oh, I love that. I love that. He took these excerpts from his Sick Boy video and obviously animated them up, and he kind of gives a callback to that sick boy bitten by a tick boy. I feel like it's not me, it's the world that's sick. And that's kind of a good message to put into this suicide song, because a lot of times, you know, these people who struggle with these suicidal tendencies, and I know that I shouldn't fucking say suicide this many times. The song says it 50 times. So if I'm going to get knocked for anything, I mean, it is what it is. But at the same time, I just love that he referenced back to Sick Boy, because that does have straight ties into why Ren might be feeling this way. You know what I mean? And then I really love that deep bass, it's like a drone almost, a boom, that comes in right there. It's really cool. It changes up the tone a lot, man.
I feel like it's not me, it's the world that's sick. I'm so fucking washed up and seasick. Masochistic kid with a split lip. 6 feet deep, I can't eat, I'm nervous. Won't stay down cause my body purges. Useless my mother, can't keep in my supper. Skin so pale cause my cheeks leak colour. Truth is my father, you choose your karma. Draw for the sword, then drive through the armor.
Wow, man, dude, I'm trying to, you know, let the whole verse play before I pause it and break it down, but I love this. So it starts off, he goes, I'm so fucking washed up and seasick. That has a couple of meanings there, because, I mean, obviously there's the, you know, you're washed up, right? You're kind of over your worth, so to speak. There's that meaning, but then he kind of goes, and seasick, right? So it's kind of like you're getting washed up by the ocean, almost like you're washing ashore, so to speak. You know, there's that classic cinematic scene where the person gets, you know, washed up on the shore and they're passed out and they're in pain and shit like that. Like that's a very cool little tie-in there. And then he says masochistic kid with a split lip. Now that's interesting, because I mean, what is a masochist? A masochist is somebody who enjoys pain, right? Somebody who gets pleasure out of pain. Now there's two ways to, you know, you can either hurt yourself or you can get hurt by others. Either way you like it, you know? And so it's kind of interesting that it's a masochistic kid with a split lip. Like, is it him hurting himself, or is it him getting beat by the world? You know, it's interesting, because you don't usually give yourself a split lip unless you're punching yourself in the face. So it kind of makes me think that he's almost letting the world beat him up because he's so comfortable in this space, you know? And so and when I say comfortable, obviously it's not comfortable because it feels good. It's comfortable because it's familiar. And I think a lot of people struggling with depression kind of get stuck there. They don't know what it's when you're struggling with depression, we don't know what it's like to be happy, and then when we feel happiness, it kind of scares us, you know? So that's an interesting way of thinking about it. Then he goes, 6 feet deep, I can't eat, I'm nervous. 6 feet deep, you know? So he just talked about being washed up and seasick, so you could say 6 feet under the water, but what does 6 feet deep mean to me? It's the grave, right? You're usually buried 6 feet under. So it's almost like he's mentally already in the grave. It's interesting that he says that, man. And won't stay down because my body purges. So obviously he's kind of bringing it back to that sick boy too, and talking about how when he had to take the wrong medications and all of that stuff, man. And it just completely altered the chemistry of his body. Oh my God, man. And then useless, my mother can't keep in my supper. Skin so pale because my cheeks leak color. Truth is my father. You choose your karma. Draw for the sword, then drive through the armor. So there's so many layers there. Now he's still bringing it back to that family thing that he did in the last verse with the brother and the sister, except for this time it's the mother and the father. And last time it was bruises and bruises. This time it's useless is the mother and truth is the father. That's very interesting. Now, I don't know his relationship with his parents or his siblings or anything like that. I don't know much about his family life. But I mean, to me, this is like, it's not even really talking about his actual family. He's saying he was born from a useless truth. You know, he feels like he's useless, and that's the truth of it, and that's where his mental state was born out of, the mother and the father, you know? So that's very interesting and complex. And then he says, you choose your karma, draw for the sword, then drive through the armor. Now, that can be a good thing, or that can be a really bad thing, you know? That can be talking about these tendencies that he's having, or it can be talking about, you know, getting the sword and succeeding in getting out of this, piercing through the armor of depression and breaking through to the other side. He could be talking about that too. So very interesting, man. Very, very interesting stuff going on in that second verse.
My father, you choose your karma, draw for the sword, then drive through the armor. Falling through the cracks of the night sky. A light goes out on the other side. Suicide, suicide, suicide.
That's such an interesting visual, man. So it's like, it's got this train slowly being built, but then it briefly shows this person standing right in front of the train, right? Very briefly shows this person standing right in front of the train. Now, I couldn't tell if it was two people. It kind of looked like it might be two people. Hold on, I'm going to check.
Falling through the cracks of the night sky. A light goes out on the other side. Suicide, suicide.
It's two people. And then, so there's two people and they're holding hands. It's almost like he's holding hands with his boy who killed himself. You know what I mean? It's almost like he's holding hands with that guy. And then after this, it shows that moon very briefly. Boom. It's like they're on these train tracks, you know, and there's a lot of symbolism behind train tracks as well. You know, it's a journey, it's traveling, unknown destinations, you know, and so there's the symbolism of the train track happening, but he's holding hands with somebody on this train track as the train is growing in size and getting bigger, almost like it's moving down the track. And then as soon as it collides with the people, it shows this moon showing that they, you know, went up, but in the beginning they were falling through the cracks in the night sky. There's a lot of cool things here that are like turning the world upside down almost, in a sense. And what do you feel like when you have these thoughts? Do you feel like the whole world is upside down? Oh my God, man.
A light goes out on the other side. Suicide, suicide, suicide. Treading on the tracks in the night time. It never really felt like the right time. Suicide, suicide, suicide. Suicide, suicide, suicide.
It's interesting that they have his face changing so much in this. Like every single thing is almost a new face. There's this demon that keeps showing up, but there's also like this angelic figure, and there's all these different expressions happening. It really does kind of show what goes through the mind of somebody struggling with these thoughts, because it gets complicated. You know what I mean? It really, really gets complicated in your brain when you're going down that path. And I think that this animation style is the best way to convey that. It does get complicated.
Suicide, suicide, suicide. Suicide, suicide, suicide.
That vocal sample's amazing.
Suicide, suicide, suicide. Suicide, suicide, suicide. Suicide.
I love listening to the transitions of this instrumental too, because I mean, we've gone from calm, we've gone to very, very big and broad, and now right now during this hook, there's this cool percussive pattern underneath it all that's really sticking out to me in this chorus that adds a whole new energy and feel to the vibe. And I think that the reason he's changing up this instrumental so much is because of that thing that we just talked about, how many different phases somebody who's struggling with these thoughts goes through on a day-to-day basis. You know what I mean? How all over the place their emotions are. Well, this instrumental's almost all over the place too, but it's still sticking to the same theme. And it's kind of saying, like, you know, you're going all over the place when you're thinking of these things, but you're still the same person. And it also can be saying, everybody's going through all of this stuff a lot, and you're not alone. We're all kind of going through a similar thing. And so there's a lot of different meanings you could derive from it. I'm not sure what Ren wanted to think, but there is a lot of different interpretations going on here.
Suicide, suicide. Suicide, suicide, suicide. It's hard to take off from the ground when your wings are cut. Your stomach burns when you're drinking from an empty cup. You know the entire ocean came from my tear ducts. I see the world through Fibonacci sequences and double Dutch.
That is interesting. Wow, 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 wow. So that bridge starts off, he's like, I love that it goes to just this solo piano, and it's this high-pitched solo piano, right? But he's playing a lot of these minor chords and major chords to create this really sad undertone to the whole vibe of it, and it's showing him sitting at a piano. That's what I assume he's sitting at right there, is a piano, or maybe even like his computer screen when he's making the beat or something like that. But it shows him sitting there with these headphones on. He's crying. And he says it's hard to take off from the ground when your wings are cut. It's tough to rise up out of these dark patterns and emotions that you're experiencing when you don't really know what the other side is like, or you, at least you haven't seen it for a very long time, and you don't really have the tools at your disposal to climb up out of that pit. I love that first line. And then he says your stomach burns when you're drinking from an empty cup. Yeah, a lot of people who, I'm sorry, this song is just crazy. It's kind of getting to me, but you know, when you're pouring from an empty cup, right? People say you should tend to yourself first because it's impossible to pour from an empty cup, right? You can't take care of everybody else and never take care of yourself. This interesting concept that he's speaking of right here, it very, very interesting. He says your stomach burns when you're drinking from an empty cup. That I really like the way that he kind of painted that picture, you know? And he says, you know, the entire ocean came from my tear ducts. As he's crying in this visual is very cool. But I think my favorite part of this bridge is I see the world through Fibonacci sequences and double Dutch. So a Fibonacci sequence, for those of you who aren't familiar, you see the Fibonacci sequence in nature through the spirals, like say in a seashell, you can see the Fibonacci sequence. It's a repeating pattern that happens all throughout nature, kind of bringing like this order to the chaos almost. But it's also a very complicated number sequence. So it's order and chaos creating order and chaos. It's interesting. So, and then double Dutch is like this, it's a jump rope game, right? At least that's what I know of double Dutch being this jump rope game. So it's kind of interesting that he compares this complicated process and sequence to this simplistic childlike experience, you know? And, I mean, granted, the jump ropes, when you're doing double Dutch, they're spiraling. There might be a little bit of a Fibonacci sequence up in there, but it's just so interesting because he sees the world through both this very complicated sequence that is all throughout nature, but he also sees it through the simplistic eyes of a child and the innocent eyes of a child, you know, and that's got to be a tough thing to balance. So he's kind of talking about this unbalance inside of him, this complicated mess that is the mind, you know? Wow.
Entire ocean came from my tear ducts. I see the world through Fibonacci sequences and double Dutch. I guess there's some that's born lucky, there's some that's not. I tried to cut away my bitterness, hatchet job. I locked my youth inside a trunk, inside a pickup truck, then dumped the whole thing over that same bridge the night you jumped. I think about...
There it is. He says, I guess there's some that's born lucky, there's some that's not. I tried to cut away my bitterness, hatchet job. I don't know what that's a reference to or if that's a slang or something like that, but it's, to me, it's very literal. You know, there's some that's born lucky, there's some that's not. I tried to cut away my bitterness. Hatchet job, maybe it's like, because when you hack with a hatchet, it's kind of rough and, you know, it's just, you're really just, it's not a clean cut. You know what I mean? So maybe that's what he's saying there. But he's kind of talking about how some are born without having to struggle through depression, without these chemical imbalances in your head, or without, you know, any kind of sickness. They're born without all of these problems. Not to say that people who are born without these issues are still not going through stuff, because obviously everybody has their own journey and everybody goes through things. But it's interesting that he says he tried to cut away his bitterness, hatchet job. I do think that it's talking about how it's kind of a rough cut. It's not a perfect cut. It's not a clean cut. So he still is very bitter, even though he tried to get away from that. And he's almost envious of the world around him because he has to go through this stuff and he doesn't see anyone else going through it, you know? And he's like, why me, kind of a thing. And then he locked his youth inside a trunk, inside a pickup truck, and then dumped the whole thing over that same bridge the night that you jumped. I mean, his friend did jump off of that bridge. He locked his youth inside a trunk and dumped the whole thing over that same bridge the night you jumped. All of his innocence, all of his youth is gone because of that one instance, you know? And he's kind of talking about the effect of suicide on the people who surround the person who did commit that act, you know? He's bringing it back to how he felt when that happened, and he's doing a really good job of painting this imagery. I really, really love this.
Inside a pickup truck, then dumped the whole thing over that same bridge the night you jumped. I think about that sometimes, vividly. What it felt like to look down and see tranquility. One sudden movement in a world of possibility. Only one movement to expose our fragility. I fucking miss you, and I miss myself. I miss thinking we were indestructible as well. I miss chilling by the pier cave and kicking back with Callum, Hugo, Sager, Justin, Stevie, and the fucking lads.
The background just changed into almost a heavenly tone. It's a lot brighter than it was before. And he's kind of talking about, I mean, now it's getting very personal, right? It started off more broad, and now it's getting very personal. We're getting right into the nitty gritty. He says, I think about that sometimes vividly, what it felt like to look down and see tranquility. One sudden movement in a world of possibility, only one movement to expose our fragility. He's talking about that moment of his friend looking over this bridge, and, you know, you see the river, you see this tranquility, you see peace by jumping and ending this complicated mess that is life. And then one sudden movement in a world of possibility, right? You could do anything. That's what everybody says. The world is endless. The world is our oyster. And he says one sudden movement. One movement to expose our fragility. It's just that step off the bridge. And then he says, I fucking miss you and I miss myself. That is a great line. Because Ren did change when his friend passed away. You know, Ren completely changed. It changed his whole world. And so he doesn't just miss his friend, he misses who he was while his friend was around. That's a very powerful line. He misses thinking that they're indestructible, you know, and he misses hanging out with his friends. I love that he names his friends here. It makes it so personal and so him, you know. This is a very cool part of the song. I think I'm gonna let this whole thing play, and then we're gonna dive in.
By the pier cave and kicking back with Callum, Hugo, Sager, Justin, Stevie, and the fucking lads. I miss missing that. I numb myself to close the gap. I never even call them up. The distance is my plastic cast. The truth is to the day you jump, my childhood jumped too. But I still can't find that anger. All I find is missing you, man. I miss you. With all my rhymes, I picture running 5 minutes quicker, I'm right on time. I picture pulling you back over the edge and then we're crying and holding you, my brother, and telling you that it's fine. Not the way that it worked, cause I was late like a jerk. There's not a day where I could find a way to break from the hurt. Your body missing, so we never got to wave to the hers. I hope you're listening, I love you, man, I miss you absurd. Fuck.
Wow. I didn't expect it to. Well, I should have expected it. I mean, it's Ren, but uh, the whole song was really, really deep. But fuck that outro. Holy shit, man! It's all right. Let's dive in, man. So he goes, "I miss missing that. I numb myself to close the gap. I never even call him up. The distance is my plaster cast." It's like he's talking about how he can barely hang around with his new friends or his old friends because it reminds him so much of this situation, and it hurts too much to be around them, and he's closing himself off from society because he's dealing with some fucking shit, you know. And he says, "I never even call him up." This is my favorite right here. He says, "The distance is my plaster cast, man." Like, what does a cast do? A cast allows you to heal. And that's what the distance is in this, and it's just such a powerful line. The truth is that the day you jump, my childhood jumped too. It's that loss of innocence, you know. It's that realization that we're not invincible. But I still can't find the anger. All I find is missing you. It's like he's not even angry anymore. He's past that point in the or maybe he's not even to that point in the grieving process, you know. Maybe he's before that. He's still in the bargaining stages, or he's still in the disbelief stage, you know. I'm not exactly sure what the order is on the stages of grief, but it's interesting. And then he's getting so fucking deep here, man. You know, I've lost somebody close to me from suicide, and I've also struggled with these thoughts, and had a friend of mine make it in time, so to speak. And so it's like this outro really got to me because he's like, "Man, I miss you with all." Sorry, guys. I don't usually get emotional. I hold it together, Ian. But he's like, "Man, I miss you with all my rhymes. I picture running 5 minutes quicker. I'm right on time. I picture pulling you back over the edge, and then we're crying." You know, if my friend hadn't got there in time, I don't know if I would have done it. I don't know if I'd be here. I think about my friend getting there, and he did get there in time, so I can only imagine the pain that Ren must be thinking, "Oh, I could have gotten there quicker. I could have saved you." You know, when somebody's at that point, it's hard to pull them back from the ledge. And so Ren obviously shouldn't blame himself or anybody who's dealt with a similar situation. But it's, and he says, "My brother, in telling you that it's fine, that's not the way that's not the way that I worked, because I was late like it." Oh, see, okay, sorry, guys. So he says, "I picture pulling you back over the edge, and then we're crying and holding you and telling you that it's fine, right?" And so he's picturing himself getting there in time and fixing the situation that honestly probably couldn't have been fixed. But it's not the way that it worked because I was late like a jerk. You know, it's this blame, it's this self-blame going on. It's that survivor's guilt that he's dealing with right now. And it's just it's very, very powerful. This was absolutely insane. This was such a good song. He says, "Your body missing, so we never got to wave to the hearse." That's got to be fucking tough, man, because at least when my friend passed away, we got to say goodbye to her. And so wow. 33 minutes, guys. 33 minutes of analysis. That, I think this song very much so deserved that. I do apologize for the longer upload. Suicide is a topic that is very near and dear to my heart. Through my music, I talk about it rather often, just the thought process behind it and things like that. So this is something that I'm very familiar with and very that I connect to deeply. So I hope you're okay with me doing this long of a video, man. If you guys enjoyed the reaction, please, please, please smash that like button. It does help out the video tremendously. And don't forget, guys, subscribe if you vibe. At the end of this video, I'm going to post one of my songs that's kind of along these similar patterns. It's called Sky. And, you know, I highly recommend. There is a trigger warning on that song as well, because it does deal with suicidal thoughts. So you know, listen with care. But yeah, I'm gonna post that song at the end of this, and then after that, feel free to listen to my Sailboat song. They're both supposed to be played on the album. They're right next to each other. It's supposed to be played one right after the other, showing like this is where I was, this is where I am, kind of a thing. So feel free to listen to my Sailboat track on all major platforms after you take a listen to Sky here. Sailboat. If you look up Ian Taylor Sailboat or Ian Taylor Oceans, the album will pop up and you'll be able to find it that way. But all right, guys, that's about the end of the reaction. It was a little bit more somber than usual, but that was kind of to be expected. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. And yeah, stick around for the song if you want to. Don't forget to subscribe if you vibe, okay? All right, guys. Peace, love, prosperity, all that Spock shit, my dudes. And have a wonderful, wonderful evening. Goodbye.
Yeah. Taylor. Yo. Ian, I miss the passion that you had, the drive inside your mind to put that passion to the pad, the feeling of belief inside of every word you speak. I don't have that anymore. I try to write a rap and all I get is all this crap. The words seem too absurd whenever writing out a track. I've deemed it that this dream is just too out of reach for me, cause I don't like it anymore. God damn it, all this pressure, how'd you ever handle that? How'd you go through so much shit and still stay pumping out these tracks? I just wish that I could do it, I put so much into this, but I don't want to anymore. I don't even think it's worth it, I don't think that I deserve it. I don't wanna go be worshipped, I'm so tired of the circus. In my mind I wanna die, but damn, my mama wouldn't like it. I don't wanna fight this anymore. Yeah. I just wanna fly, I just wanna die, yeah, yeah. Sorry, I want to walk away. Take me to the sky, I just wanna die, oh. I want to die, 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 die. I just wanna fly, I just wanna die, yeah, yeah. Ooh, ooh. I want to walk away. Take me to the sky, I just wanna die, oh. I want to die today. I don't have the words to keep up with emotions. Every day it hurts, I don't want these emotions. Every night I cry, I don't like feeling so sick. Even in my mind, I go dive in the ocean. Never surface, fuck applause, I do not deserve it. Too uncertain, way too broke to make a purchase. Pull the curtains, see it's me behind the serpents. I don't know another version. Have so many tell me that I win made a difference. All that I can think is why I've never felt so different. Never felt so down for so long in my life. Even had the thought to go and bring my wrist to the knife again. Tried to write again, no words come to guide my pen. Got a family, gotta fight for them. Let me try again, let me try again. Man, I'm so tired, yeah. I just wanna fly, I just wanna die, yeah, yeah. Sorry, I want to walk away. Take me to the sky, I just wanna die, oh. I want to die, 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 die. I just wanna fly, I just wanna die, yeah, yeah. Ooh, ooh. I want to walk away. Take me to the sky, I just wanna die, oh. I want to die today. Looking at myself like, what's the point? Fill another glass up, close the joint. Alone at the bar doesn't disappoint, cause there's no one around me to disappoint. So lost, I got like no guide here. I yell and scream like they might hear, but no one listens and no one comes. So it's just me alone with this loaded gun. I think of Mom and I think of Cooper. I think of Shar and Jet, all their futures. They're better off without me around. It's like all I do is go bring them down. And I'm sorry, I'm so sorry. I wish I could have done better. I'm sorry, so sorry that all I leave is this letter, yeah. I just wanna fly, I just wanna die, yeah, yeah. Sorry, I want to walk away. Take me to the sky, I just wanna die, oh. I want to die, 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 die. I just wanna fly, I just wanna die, yeah, yeah. Ooh, ooh. I want to walk away. Take me to the sky, I just wanna die, oh. Taylor, Oceans, let me tell him. I don't wanna talk right now, wanna get up and hit the road in the car right now. Wanna get away, cause I'm all tied down. Been a mess with the stress, but it's all right now. Never wanna go and never bring you down. I know that life's too short and I can be a clown. I'm still royalty now, but you needn't bow. But you should be in my corner when the king is crowned. I'ma live life moving step to step. Took a half year off, needed to take a breath, but I'm back in this bitch like Kanye and Jets. And I'ma rail ride life till it breaks my neck. Never gave one fuck what a hater think. I just raise my glass and I take a drink. See, they mad at life and they blaming me because they never had the balls to go and chase a dream. And I ain't got the time for that. Got too much shit weighing down my back. Gotta gather all it up, put it inside the boat, and watch it flow, flow, flow with the tide it goes. I let it loose inside a sailboat and watch it drift away, maybe to a brighter place. I don't know, no, no. I let it drift inside a sailboat and put it in its place. Let it learn to
there's no pressure. Put it all to work inside of my efforts. Working at that 9 to 5, but life's better when you live a life that's life, and I'm better. Yeah, that's all that's in front of me. Sure, I get down hard, but get up and scream. I got a mind so dark, I once lost a light, but I'll stand up and fight for the right to try to see that shit again. You would never ever see me with my friends, but the nights alone ain't needing them. Think I need to go and see my shrink again, so I can ask what's happiness without pain. I'm a masochist. Gotta gather all it up, put it inside the boat, and watch it flow with the tide it goes. I let it loose inside a sail.